If you are that powerful, come to
Good
America
evening.
and you know that they're in the
Welcome.
nation and murder the
Thanks for
medicine men
tuning in
that make you
and
angry,
watching
that
live
misinterpret
the
what you're
OST
trying to say.
news. Today we're
Because at
going
the
to
end of
be
the day, my
reading the
Takashla is
28
greater
U.S. Code
than what
and
Tracy Sher Whipple's
566
Takashla will
powers
ever
and
be,
duties.
including the rest of the people that go to Sundance's
It is
today.
the primary
And that
role and
have
mission
tried
of
to
the
come
United
before
States
or
Marshal
after.
Services to
There's only
provide
me
for the
and Negro.
security and to
No one
obey,
else.
execute, and enforce
So,
all
may you
orders of
please
the
get to
United
the
States
reading
District
of
Courts,
Revelations,
the United States
chapter
Courts of
16,
Appeals, the Court
verses 1
of
through
International Trade, and the United States Tax Court
21. And
as
mind you,
provided by law. The United States Marshal of each district is Marshal of the District Court and of the Court of Appeals when sitting in that district, and of the Court of International Trade holding sessions in that district, and may, in the discretion of the respective courts, be required to attend any session of court, except as otherwise provided by law or rule of procedure. The United States Marshal Service shall execute all lawful writs, process, and orders issued under the authority of the United States, and shall command all necessary assistance to execute its duties. Each United States Marshal, Deputy Marshal, and any other official of the service, as may be designated by the Director, may carry firearms and make arrests without warrant for any offense against the United States committed in his or her presence, or for any felony conjurable under the law of the United States if he or she has reasonable grounds to believe that the person to be arrested has committed or is committing such felony. The United States Marshal Service is authorized to provide for the personal protection of federal jurists, court officers, witnesses, and other threatened persons in the interest of justice where criminal intimidation impedes on the function of the judicial process or any other official proceedings. Investigate such fugitive matters both within and outside the United States as directed by the Attorney General. Issue administrative subornos in accordance with Section 3486 of Title 18 solely for the purpose of investigating unregistered sex offenders as defined in such Section 3486 and assist state, local, and other federal law enforcement agencies upon request of such an agency in locating and recovering missing children. Nothing in paragraph 1B shall be construed to interfere with or subdue the authority of other federal agencies or bureaus in accordance with procedure established by the Director and except for public money deposited under Section 2041 of this title. Each United States Marshal shall deposit public monies that the Marshal collections into the Treasury, subject to disbursement by the Marshal. At the end of each accounting period, the earned part of public monies occurring in the United States shall be deposited in the Treasury to the credit of the appointed recipient accounts. Prior to resignation, retirement, or removal of office, a United States Marshal shall deliver to the Marshal's successor all prisoners in his custody and all unserved process, and a Deputy Marshal shall deliver to the Marshal all process in the custody of the Deputy Marshal. The United States Marshal shall pay such office expenses of United States attorneys as may be directed by the Attorney General. The Director of the United States Marshal Service shall consult with the Judiciary Conference of the United States on accordance and on a continuous basis regarding the secretary requirements for the judiciary branch of the United States government to ensure that the views of the Judiciary Conference regarding the security requirements for the judiciary branch of the federal government are taken into account when determining staffing levels, setting priorities for programs regarding judiciary security, and allocating judiciary security resources. In this paragraph, the term judiciary security includes the security of the buildings housing the judiciary, the person's security of judicial officers, the assessment of threats made to judiciary officers, and the protection of all other judiciary personnel. The United States Marshal Service retains full authority regarding security requirements for the judiciary branch of the federal government. Just one more second. Okay? Some other laws that need to be rewrote. It says U.S. Marshals do not have any specific law regarding area codes. Their judiciary and jurisdiction is based on federal judiciary districts, which encompasses entire states and territories. Excuse me, there'll be no lawsuit, council, or representation through me ever in life. Period. DeKoshla has explained this to all believers. And if there are fallen believers trying to tag along to try to hold me down, well, it's unattainable because DeKoshla has made it so. But back to this, the laws that need to be rewrote. Judiciary's based. Let's just restart. The U.S. Marshals do not have any specific law regarding area codes. Their jurisdiction is based on federal judiciary districts, which encompass entire states and territories, meaning they can operate across multiple area codes within those districts to apprehend fugitives or execute court orders, but their authority do not define by any codes and by any area codes themselves. The key points about the U.S. Marshals and area codes: jurisdiction by district. The U.S. Marshals' authority primarily lies within the federal judiciary district they are assigned to, which can cover multiple states and therefore multiple area codes. When pursuing a fugitive, no area code restrictions, a U.S. Marshal can cross state lines and area code boundaries to apprehend them as long as they are within their designated judiciary district. Fugitives to focus on. People doing drugs that the U.S. Marshals rely on, like U.S. Marshals rely on first voice releases to try to release federally protected witness members like myself, Alec James Furman. But, let's get back to the law now. Let's get back to the law that needs to be rewrote. The primary role of the U.S. Marshals is to apprehend fugitives, but then means they are not limited by area codes when conducting investigations or arrests. One more second. And also, we had Googled something trying to get this rewrite where the U.S. Marshal needs to actually serve a warrant, as that is actual law and code when anyone being in custody of the U.S. Marshals have to show a actual arrest or extraditing warrant and proof of the actual crime, not just by word, not just them radio in and repeating the operator codes back to them. Remember, the U.S. Marshals need to run off the police database to even have a dispatcher to begin with. Just one more second. The law also states that the U.S. Marshal Services must show it to the person as soon as possible, meaning that the U.S. Marshals must show the actual arrest warrant to the person under arrest. Steve, here in DC, I was arrested at Capitol Skyline Hotel by Virginia's U.S. Marshals wanting to play a gaudy game. See, these mafia members came from the Gotti 5 crime families. Doesn't matter who, we just know that it's all 5 working and conspiring against myself for being able to escape out of the mafia and cartel way of life using federally witness protection programs and plans instilled since childhood in me, including escaping up out of criminal organizations that the U.S. Marshals tried to lure, meaning they came into the streets in plain Jane clothes with their badges and guns and tried to direct me to befriend more criminals, as I myself met with the mayor's office and had to elaborate on why the U.S. Marshals were constantly trying to follow me around, trying to produce Illuminati productions.
I don't lie with anybody at night.
See,
I have my own back. I have my own.
anyways,
I don't need to go out there and beg anybody for anything.
Also states that U.S. Marshals are often called upon by local and state police when they don't have the time or resources to catch a criminal.
Way of life.
Mind you, the U.S. Marshals are to handle, it also states, felony cases that are turned over by the Attorney General, U.S. Attorney General's office, meaning without payment, without closing, without anything that tries to mimic falsehood of law. See, you don't give the mafia, you don't give the 5 crime families a foothold in a government world established on defeating and beating off, meaning beating out of every court. Beating off means another word of victory. You see, you don't run to families that are on TV that the crime families try to extort, including the law enforcement that they send. You run to the U.S. Attorney General to have the U.S. Attorney General pass down conviction on the U.S. Marshal Service at a federal level, and including a federal level overall state agencies and offices of the U.S. Marshal's office, including meeting with the U.S. Marshal actual director. See, my violation of rights when I asked for a U.S. Marshal warrant, or what crimes were I being charged of, the U.S. Marshal's office then wanted to just respond that you know you have warrants out for your arrest. And that's all that they had said. Then they in turn took out my wallet, took my cell phone, placed it in a shelter with no hope of to return. See, I will not be speaking or lying for any U.S. Attorney General office, including any directors, indefinitely, including allowing individuals to try to manipulate one who believes in Tukashla whole-spiritedly. Also, give me one more second. Let's see. We're going to read. U.S. Marshals and their deputies, we're going to read a little bit more of the law, may make arrests if the U.S. Attorney General office gives them that authority. See, it's authority. It's not a privilege. It's not a reward. There is no reward for continuing law enforcement. There is no recognition. There is no being brought alongside the commanders and chiefs of the United League of Nations. There's only conviction. No one shall stand idle and blind in any U.S. attorney dealing that will put an individual's life in great harm's risk, using the Illuminati for once. And the whole case is based on abolishing the Illuminati that the U.S. Marshal Service wanted to try to blindly and unblindly enter, including using Illuminati tactics of terror. See, there shouldn't be any U.S. Marshals using military tactics, as the contract states that you shall only use tactics from the U.S. Marshal Services, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I want you to go and research the law more. See, it's already a violation when the U.S. Marshal Service wants to return my mail with my complaints, including the holdings here in D.C. with the complaints, too, about not being let out of my cell, to use the restroom, to shower, to get toilet paper, to get or put in complaints about cellmates waiting to be extradited, including being placed with individuals who are also in games of criminal organization that the U.S. Marshals and U.S. Attorney's Office tried to set up and take my life behind bars. So with that, I seek persecution against the U.S. Attorney's Office, meaning I seek criminal charges against their office, including the U.S. Marshals that tried to falsely convict myself of crimes that they wanted to hear, but instead none of them actually looked up, meaning they never looked up to Takashla to see if the conviction fit. See, without Takashla, the U.S. Marshal Service is to be convicted. Indefinitely, including the U.S. Attorney's Office, including the presidential offices that try to give federal employees of carrying a federal badge and firearm issued by the federal government. So, let's pray that be able to win the lawsuit against the U.S. Marshals out there to violate laws, that are out there to continuing to think that law is in one's mind and can be dealt that way. You cannot try to play an Illuminati game, a Triad game, a Freemason game, a Sumo Kalati game, Illuminati games, Hollywood fame games, Hollywood reward games, law enforcement reward games, and anything of a bribe game, including non-bribe games. See, you get no recognition by doing your contract's job, meaning the contract that you signed, you get no overhauls, you get nothing in return. See, the Democrats' way is to return an individual sexually or try to offer them a pay raise or a new location overseas to try to get any of these organizations running again. Mind you, no one should be running U.S. Marshal operations or U.S. Attorney operations around the New World Order, including the non-New World Order, including individuals that have already been federal employees and vetted, and including employees that are in federal witness protection due to the Virginia United States U.S. Marshals thinking that it is funny to send criminals around myself. My name is Alec James Furman. It always has been. Thinking that it's funny to send criminals around me to try to see if I would conspire or configure a plan without even opening my mouth, including trying to befriend them, including sending undercover law enforcement around me, thinking that I would befriend them or help them or further an investigation, which I cannot. Not even with a judge order. Not even without a judge order.
It doesn't say that Takashla came from the
And
or the earth.
that is victory. See, you admit defeat, but I consider it victory due to the fact that why uphold a foreign country's law that wants to disrespect one's constitutional rights and then want to play like they are somebody in a independent party first and foremost, then Republican Party, then a Democratic Party, then a Libertarian Party, then a Green Party, then once again the Libertarian Tea Party, then the DC Statehood Party, then the non-parties, including in all religions of Takashla.
Or with the Roman Empire indefinitely.
So, and here's some more.
I always say, I never go around and talk to the other countries, or I ask.
See, a U.S. Marshal is running off the basis and wording of an actual police officer. Why are U.S. Marshals undercover trying to further government criminal organizations of not of this world, including trying to hold myself, Alec James Furman, for ransom and no ransom, as nobody is going to escape a lawsuit against the United States Marshal Service and U.S. Attorney's General Office, including the correctional facilities of the United States. Doesn't matter if you were independently contracted or not independently contracted. Trying to house one and say we, meaning yes, that's French, you admit guilt. You admit guilt for breaking my United States Constitution rights, my United States rights under the Constitution, and I could go on and on about the rights that the U.S. Marshals had broken. Like, it states underneath the actual, just one second. All law enforcement agencies shall establish and read one's Miranda rights. When someone is taken into custody, all law enforcement agencies must inform them of their Miranda rights, which include the right to remain silent, the right to an attorney, the right to stop answering questions at any time. If any law enforcement doesn't provide these warnings, any statements that are made not be able to use them in any court of law. Teach the right history and stop trying to play. Stop trying to issue non-play. You guys have a blessed day. Let me close with prayer. Takashla, bless the ones that are being and able to remove the ones that do the wrong in all courts of law, especially the legislative body, including the rest of the bodies of government, including the law enforcement agencies across the world, including the United League of Nations. Bless them to continue to remove the ones who think that there's any wickedness left here and here only, as you find no evil. Bless the ones that you for, meaning bless the ones that you for and protect and bless always and forever, and have a blessed conviction party, including protests. This, everybody, step to Takashla. Amen. You guys have a blessed day. I'm Alec James Furman. Once again, I am Oglasu tribal member, federally recognized Tintawanian inductor.
So,
Also, you guys should check out this book that I'm writing about law enforcement and celebrity lookalikes, including celebrity non-lookalikes, meaning that they're the actual law trying to work undercover illegally. We'll have to go into that, meaning I'll create another live broadcast about the laws about law enforcement trying to run illegal operations undercover in the United League of Nations. Alright, guys, have a blessed day. Happy holidays. And be blessed, stay safe, stay always employed. Have a great day. Bye bye. See you guys later. Also, go out there and do something fun today. You know, everything's closed. But for those that everything's not closed on, go out there and have fun. Have a blessed day.